Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today in our panel, OpenNebula for Cloud Providers. In this panel, we will discover different use cases of OpenNebula from leading cloud providers and how it enables competitive cloud services in production-ready environments. As you know, OpenNebula is a scalable and robust open source platform designed to manage data center infrastructure for public, private, and hybrid clouds. Specifically for cloud providers, OpenNebula arises as a powerful solution by delivering a flexible cloud management solution that integrates with existing infrastructures. This capability allows providers to offer a range of cloud services from single virtual machines to complex multi-tier cloud native applications, meeting diverse customer needs. OpenNebula's comprehensive feature set, including multi-tenancy, user self-service, and advanced resource management, enhances operational efficiency and service quality. Its open source nature fosters innovation and customization, enabling providers to tailor the platform to their unique requirements and differentiate themselves in a competitive market. After this short introduction, I would like to introduce the speakers of this panel. I will switch them on this panel right now. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for attending to this panel. I will introduce Mohamed Imran from E2E Networks. Hello, Matt.
Hi,
Uh,
hi.
Matt Harris from Togglebox.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. And Jasper Hessen from Dustin.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very excited that you share your OpenNebula experience with as cloud providers with us today. Maybe you can introduce yourselves and a bit to the audience and provide us a bit of your professional background. Can you please start, Mohammed, please?
Yeah, hi. I'm Imran, and I run the tech operations at E2E Networks. It's a 50-year-old company, and I have been interested in open source for a very long time, right from the user lugs and so on. And the one of the agendas is to leverage the power of open source in building cloud products in India. Yeah, and we have been an early adopter of OpenNebula, and we have had great experiences with that, and we wanted to be sharing those with the larger audience as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And you, Matt?
I've been in hosting pretty much my entire life since about 1999. I worked at a few different hosting providers, and how it started was it's actually Togglebox is the cloud brand of Tectonic, which started out as a VPS provider, and I was developing virtual server products for one of the companies I was working at, and they didn't think it was gonna take off. They didn't think virtualization was gonna take off. So I left and started my own VPS provider back in 2003. So we've been in operation for over 20 years now, and like I said, going from standard hosting to VPS, now in the cloud infrastructure, into GPU hosting and beyond.
That's very exciting. So, could you please continue, Jasper?
Yes. My name is Jesper, and I work at Dustin, which is a managed service provider from Europe. We have been providing these services. Been using OpenNebula for quite a while now, 8 years, I think it is. I come from a background of different MSPs where I've worked for the past 20 years. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's great. I think we are all of us. We are open source advocates, I think. So It's pretty nice to have this conversation with all of you. So let's start with some questions we have prepared. I think we can share our experience in this. So, in your opinion, which key features and capabilities does OpenNebula offer that make it suitable for building and managing public cloud services? What's your opinion on this? Mohammed, for
Uh,
example, you can start.
yeah, so I think the broad support for virtualization with KVM, like it has pretty extensive support, right, in terms of being able to manage the entire life cycle of a virtual machine, including some of the advanced features like GPU pass-through and all of that, which is very relevant in the GPU compute space. I think that adds a lot of value in how we are able to build public clouds which are available for customers to use. And the APIs also are very robust, right? The SDK integrations and the APIs are also pretty robust in the sense that we are able to build very comprehensive products by using the APIs for native integration and the cross integration with well-known open source products, right? Like for instance, Linbit, DRPD, Ceph, and even like other storage systems and all of that. That makes it easier to leverage all these storage systems, which can provide very high levels of IOPS and storage performance, and that is important as well. And in general, the mirroring of OpenNebula releases with the new features, for example, SRIOV, right, was a very important feature for a lot of us for passing through on the GPU side because PCI wasn't scaling enough. So those mirroring of the latest feature requirements for all of the high compute or the GPU requirements, that makes it very, very attractive to build products on top of OpenNebula, right? I'm fairly certain that very soon the AI journey will also be mirrored into OpenNebula. Like, for instance, we already have Kubernetes and all that. It's not a far cry to think of OpenNebula natively supporting Slurm, for instance, right? So, or even Ray clusters and all of that. So I'm sure like that will also come in, and that is what we like about OpenNebula. That over we have been using it for almost 8 years now, 8.5 years, and we have seen the evolution closely mirror the ecosystem changes that are required in the cloud space, and that's
Hmm.
what has been great about it. Yeah.
Okay. So, Matt, do you agree with him, or do you have something else to add to this?
I would say as far as looking for like public cloud orchestration systems such as OpenNebula, there are a few key things that are important. One is multi-tenancy, and being
Exactly.
able to have, and support network isolation and such, along with the resource isolation to make sure that one customer, like a noisy neighbor, doesn't affect all the other customers that might be sharing the same hypervisor. And then volume management is important, as a modern feature. You pretty much need to support that. The GPU hosting, as Mohammed said, is fantastic to have, and it's actually something we're just starting to get into. And we find it's much easier to use and diagnose than like other competing open source cloud applications, which we really liked about it.
Mhm.
We also like that it was easy to get commercial support from OpenNebula systems directly.
That's great. That's great. Do you have the same experience, Jasper?
Yeah, I think so. Like one of the key things about OpenNebula for us when we chose it was, of course, that it was open source, because we knew that it would enable us to like adapt it to the needs of our customers, and it already came back then with like this feature-rich toolbox that had all the orchestration features that you'd get at most other like enterprise-grade hypervisors, and orchestrators. Um, so yeah, I would say so. And also, yeah, the enterprise support makes it easy for us to deploy like multiple sites. It can and yeah, at any time we can also get the help from OpenNebula systems if something is
that's
needed.
great.
Right?
I'm very glad to hear that for sure. In your opinion, are the multi-tenancy features like wide enough to cover your public cloud use cases, for example? Do you
Yeah,
find it like
yeah,
it is covering
absolutely.
enough?
Yeah, Alberto. So we have used ACLs a lot, the user management, group management, and ACLs. We have been able to build a very, very strong isolation between the customers. Remember, we also leverage the APIs a lot, so it's very important that those ACLs are used very effectively to kind of isolate the resources uh, at an API level, right? So where each user cannot access anyone's resources. So that becomes very, very important. And I also think some of the other means of isolation in terms of multi-tenancy, like a VDC, though that's not a very commonly used feature, but that is also kind of quite useful when you are building a secondary zone for a customer for various compliance requirements, right? So, but in general, the ACLs is something that we are very heavily leveraged to be able to control who can see what templates, who can see what images. All of that isolation has been built entirely around users, user groups, and ACLs. And that to me is a very strong isolation. And you don't need to isolate infrastructure at an BDC level if you are a public cloud company, because not always you want to build those models. So uh, effectively, we are able to build a multi-tenant environment by leveraging these features itself. And those isolations are also reflecting on the APIs. So yes, so that multi-tenancy definitely helps in isolating workloads as well.
Hmm. And you, Matt?
A lot of
I think
the similar. I hope go back to what I said before about the
yes.
noisy neighbor
Hmm.
problem. I mean, it's critical for that, and we find that with the isolation provided by OpenNebula, that we do not have, we're able to isolate all the customers performance-wise and on the hypervisors. But then through OpenNebula, yeah, using the groups and the ACLs is primarily how we isolate customers and decide exactly which images, which templates they can use, which networks, and so on. And we are still experimenting with the VDC feature. However, in my experiments with it, it seems to be good for example, to provide a customer with a private cloud where they
Exactly.
can still use the same UI, the same control panel instance as all their public cloud services also, instead of having to have like their own control panel and everything like that. So we use a lot of that features, and so far the quality of service, there's network quality of service, the disk IO quality of service, we're using all of that, and it functions properly.
Okay, Jesper, I know that you have a panel that controls OpenNebula through API integration, but is the OpenNebula multi-tenancy solving your use case too, or do you add some kind of a layer over it?
Yeah. So what we did actually in parallel, it was done before a while. We were starting to adopt OpenNebula. Was that we had this customer portal that had it had multiple services that we were offering to the customers already. And then we were like, okay, we're not going to build a new panel or something like that for OpenNebula. So what we chose to is to create like an API within that portal that we already had, and that API then controls the OpenNebula API. And then within OpenNebula, we just funnel through like the different things. So it's like the same way as like we with the groups and the ACLs, VDCs, and anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also like Matt said, with with the resource scheduling and so on, being great for that as well. Since we don't want to run a lot of dedicated hardware per customer and so on.
Okay, so I think that leads to the next question that is evolving naturally here. I think you have already mentioned it, but I think the OpenNebula integration you have used or you've been able to integrate your existing software solutions and integrate it with OpenNebula and other third-party tools. Can you please comment a bit about it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean the way that it with the third-party tools is that due to OpenNebula being open source, as we speak about it again, is that it made it simple for us to create this kind of toolbox where we can like do things that are maybe not features in OpenNebula, maybe shouldn't be features in OpenNebula, but we need them to integrate with a storage system, with a billing system, and so on. And that's something that we continue to develop new features for that every day. We even named it after OpenNebula. It's called we call it One Apps, but it's just a different array of small applications that can do tiering on our storage system when you. So an example could be a customer in our customer portal. They has this drop down for the images which is OpenNebula in the backend, where they can choose different tiers for the image. So this is performance tiers. When they change that there, it then sends a command to the One Apps part called One Tier, and that then connects to our storage system and sets the resource throttling on the volume that is connected to the actual VM. So really creating a lot of integrations like that is really great.
Wow. And you, Mohammed, have you done something similar?
Yeah, pretty much. I think Jesper hit the nail on the head, right? So it's open source. So we have also done a fair bit of customization wherever required, especially around storage and networks, right? So where, for instance, we wanted to use a queue in queue VLAN. I think we spoke to the enterprise support as well, got some inputs, implemented it ourselves. The entire life cycle of a VM is so beautifully written, right? So it almost takes you back to, let's say, like 10, 15 years, like when you used to manually create a VM, right? So if you look at the entire workflow of creating a VM, it basically starts with creating the context file, creating the prologue, copying the files. It mirrors it exactly. So if you have to teach anyone virtualization, this is how you will do it, right? So, and what it also does, it makes it easier for you to extend it at different stages. So for example, we have extended especially the hook subsystems, we have extended a lot by having the hook subsystem talk to our orchestration system, where it is updating various states, updating, for instance, in auto scaling, it is communicating various metrics and so on. So it's a very powerful subsystem. So these are actually very useful if you're building a public cloud where you are able to almost on an on-demand get various information from OpenNebula subsystems onto this. Like we also extended the monitor daemon, right? So where it is monitoring. So we added a few more metrics that we thought we liked, and those are also reported automatically to our main systems on the public cloud. So a lot of such features, including monitor the subsystem for the one hook. So those are all like really effective in doing like a lot of cross integration with various other services, and that is what we have been working on. And primarily, again, integration is mostly storage and the network part, but also increasingly related to the GPU part, where you rely on the context scripts to basically give more inputs to the GPU, right? In terms of which drivers to install, so you can easily extend those and have the hook report back that all these orchestrations were already done in a particular system. So that helps you if you are like orchestrating GPU systems in a cluster environment on OpenNebula. We also implemented using very simple OpenNebula autoscale constructs the entire concept of node pools in Kubernetes, right? So it was very easy to do that. So those are some of the integrations that we explored, and we were quite successful in delivering those features from our control panel to our customers. And they are especially like the older features, like the auto scale service, that we have built like a lot of service, including scaling up your database clusters. We have built Postgres clusters out of it, which we are delivering to the customers. So a lot of those features are like very well explored for integrating into existing systems. Yeah, sorry, I was a bit more verbose than I ought to be.
No, no,
Yeah.
not very. And you, Matt, what is your integration experience?
Well, yeah. So our integration experience for the front end first started with, well, Sunstone is a clean UI. It has a lot of features. It's very powerful. However, we found that a lot of those features, the powerful features, would be confusing for our end user. So we use HostBill for our billing system, and we've used the OpenNebula API to replicate the required functionality and make it as user friendly on our side as possible. That's just and what was really nice for us was that since it appears all the OpenNebula tools and like the Sunstone UI are already using the API calls, where a lot of systems the API is like an afterthought. So it was nice that, I mean, pretty much everything possible is already in the API. So that was a nice feature to have. And then we use Storepool for our storage, and they already have integration with OpenNebula, so we didn't have to do a whole lot there. I will say that they have a lot of I guess they have like a deployment tweaks built into their integration also, which has allowed for some features that OpenNebula doesn't have, that they can actually implement some of them earlier. For example, like for IO threads and the Vert IO block queues, they were already calculating that automatically and like overriding it via the hook system early on. And then the same for like the KVM, their network multi-queue feature. You can set it in the VM template and OpenNebula a static number. However, they have just a hook system that, says, okay, well, if the virtual server has 4 cores, then we'll give it 4 network queues. So, having that type of system on the back end has allowed us to implement a lot of fixes and features on our own.
Okay, that's pretty
So
awesome
just
too.
to add to what Matt said, if somebody already likes Sunstone, they will just love the new FireEdge UI. So our teams are like using it a lot as well. So very good initial feedbacks on that as well.
That's great too. I mean, the FireEdge, I think it will be released very, very soon in a production ready release. So I think it will be something that all of us, we are very excited for you to use. I'm sure we will have a lot of feedback. I hope everything will be okay for the first release, and we are pretty excited to launch that to the community for sure. I'm sure you are aware of all this VMware mess around and all this cost savings, or trying to find another virtualization platform as a replacement. So can you please provide some cost savings, resource efficiency achieved using OpenNebula in your case? Has OpenNebula helped you to achieve this cost savings?
Right. So 2 sets of cost savings, right? One, we have never used any proprietary virtualization tool itself. So there's no context for us on the savings on, let's say, migration from a VMware or a Nutanix to an OpenNebula. So we don't have that context. But on the operational side of things, I can very confidently say that it's very easy for me, having like run this for 9 years. Like to basically like train new system admins into operating OpenNebula very, very quickly. And that is a significant saving in itself, rather than somebody who only knows OpenStack. He doesn't even understand the cloud per se, right? So that is a very significant saving for me, that I'm able to onboard a new system admin into OpenNebula platform, where he can do the entire host addition, image creation, all of that entire thing, like within 15 days, right? So I have had multiple people over the past like 9 years, like being able to use that. And we have scaled to thousands of nodes and like many thousands of VMs with a very, very small team, right? So you don't need a lot of firepower engineering resources to be able to manage or upgrade all of that in OpenNebula. Like it's a fairly very, very so the most complicated feature of OpenNebula, it's a simplicity, right? Let me put it that way, right? So it is so simple to actually visualize, right? There is an entire monitor D component, there is an entire hook subsystem, there is a one scale service. So it is so very well organized and like so easily upgradable, that my operational cost in terms of engineering and the amount of time it takes for me to upgrade, test newer features, all of that is significantly reduced vis-a-vis any other tool, because we run proprietary tools not on the cloud but on other aspects, and we know the complexities of running that and the cost that it incurs. So we found that OpenNebula was operationally very, you could manage OpenNebula with a very lean team, and even if you're under open source, right? And if you have an enterprise portal, like there is nothing to be concerned about. Like it's almost like a direct to engineering support in a way, where you are able to iron out some of the bleeding edge features. But in general, a very lean operational team for even a large public cloud provider like us should do the job with OpenNebula, and that itself is a significant cost saving for me.
That's great. Do you agree, Jesper?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, like just this we've been having in Dustin having like a huge focus on like unifying all our platforms and kind of doing a lot of large consolidations because we're comprised of of a lot of different data centers that we needed to consolidate, running various hypervisors, orchestrators, and so on. So yeah, it's not just the licensing cost if you look at the VMware, for instance, but it's also like having one orchestrator for everything in that sense. I think that helps a lot. And being able to build these portals and services on top that are maybe can even be even more user friendly. So if you have a service desk, or if your customer has a service desk, that doesn't necessarily need to be IT experts to manage their environment.
Okay. And you, Matt, what's your opinion on this?
Well, we did migrate to OpenNebula recently from another, competing system. Cost savings wise, we did see cost savings. For what OpenNebula systems charges, I think is a fair price. For what's available, whereas some systems out there, they're trying to, they know the pains of trying to migrate, thousands of virtual machines. And on that point, we did find it easy to migrate to OpenNebula. One with the help from Storepool, because they have a lot of knowledge with it, but also OpenNebula, because of its power. I was talking about, we were able to replicate the exact like KVM configuration that the existing virtual machines were running on. So it's just, it's very simple just to, import the disks and then recreate the configuration, and then the existing virtual servers boot up properly under OpenNebula. So we don't actually have to deal with the customers, having to reinstall their servers and so on for the migration. It in reality ended up being less than a minute per migration, with with no compatibility issues. But I will say, I mean, there are certainly cheaper systems than OpenNebula out there also. And while we looked at a few of them, we did appreciate a lot of the features that OpenNebula has that we can work to provide in the future, along with what we were already doing. I've already added the GPU hosting, the Kubernetes you have, the Firecracker VMs seem very interesting, along with the container support. So yeah, it was about moving to something that was going to be competitive in the market, but also be cost effective.
Okay, that's amazing. That's so great. So, in terms of, I mean, the opinions of your customers using the an OpenNebula based solution, have you received some feedback, and do you use this feedback as a way to make your platform to improving that platform of yours with new features? Do you find it easy? Anyone?
Yeah, so we have
Sorry,
not
I
done
had
a
my
whole lot.
audio cut for a while.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I can. Sorry. Sure.
Okay, should I go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The open source, I mean, it has two benefits to us is if we're not understanding how something works, we can go directly to the source code and look in there and see what's happening under the hood. Yeah, the other benefit that we've had is because it is open source, there's a lot of documentation. You have the OpenNebula forums. You can go there for a lot of quick issues before having to even go to OpenNebula support to ask a question. And that's been useful, just for all of our support representatives also.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know, Mohammed, if you heard my
Yeah,
question.
I think it was related to the open source stuff. Agree with Matt. I think the first customization we did when we started using OpenNebula, I think we started with OpenNebula 4.0 or something, right? So, and the first one was having support for local LVMs instead of a cluster LVM. We did the entire patch like in a day, and like that's how we started. And like that initial patch itself, like gave the entire team the confidence that okay, like this works, right? So we were not an enterprise support any of that when we started using it. And also, like, see, there are open source projects, and where code bases can be complicated and so on, right? But our experiences has been that especially around the drivers part and the IM drivers and the network drivers and the virtualization drivers, they are one of the most well organized sections that you can find in any open source project, right? And we have extended a lot, especially around network patching. In fact, like we kind of got a little bit adventurous and implemented an entire security groups, which is not there, right? Like, so that's how easy it is. In fact, we are cleaning up that code base, and we wanted to contribute it back to the OpenNebula code base. Hope it will be accepted in whatever form. But
Sure.
yeah, so that gives the team the confidence that look, this is just a start, and if you want something to get it done, we have done more optimizations, especially on the Lin store driver as well, the network side of things, and we also fixed some of the vGPU issues ourselves. So it's kind of pretty open platform, and the code
Mm.
base is also neat. And in general, like especially if you are on enterprise support, the pointed answers can lead you to actually go ahead and fix it yourself as well. Like where there's a lot of like I mentioned, it's almost like a direct to engineering support in most cases, and the guys who are actually doing the development, I think they also tend to reply to your queries. So yeah, so we have done a lot of customizations which we like, and there have not been many challenges even upgrading within those customizations as well. So
That's great.
that's been one of the benefits of OpenNebula being open source itself.
That's great. And just perhaps you face this situation where you have to maybe change or react with the feedback of your customers to implement new features.
Yeah, I think we get it all the time. Also because we have a portal that we make available for the customers, and there are a lot of public clouds out there, and well, private cloud providers as well. And we get metered against all of those, right? So if you look at something like AWS or Azure or something like that, where the features can be vast or even too vast for the customers, they sometimes come with these questions. Why don't you have that? Or when can we have this? And so on. And then we kind of adapt to that, and we have our own roadmap, both for the portal, but also for the OpenNebula service. And then we also confer a lot with you guys in the sense that how can we get this done in that sense.
That's amazing. That's great. I'm very glad to hear that. As you know, OpenNebula offers a marketplace with all sorts of applications and proof of concept solutions there. Do you use this internally as a core of your development? Do you base some of your solutions on these applications we maintain, or the golden images we provide with the contextualization packages already installed on them? Matt, maybe?
Yeah, so I have we do use the OpenNebula templates. They're available in the marketplace as our default templates. We don't modify a whole lot of them. We did make our own Windows templates, but as far as the services such as available, such as like the WordPress, we haven't done a whole lot with that yet. But we have used the virtual routers for customers, as load balancers or gateways.
That's great. What's your experience? You're muted, Mohammed.
Yeah, we have used it extensively, and also things like the support for newer OSs coming in, especially when Rocky was announced. I think it didn't take much time for OpenNebula to publish a Rocky Linux template. I think those are some of the faster turnarounds, and we have also had very good success with Kubernetes templates, especially around the newer versions being updated. So those are very useful as well, and especially around the coverage, right? So whenever new LTS releases or all of these coming, it's just much easier to just download the template from OpenNebula and use it. So yeah, we have used it extensively, and it adds value, and moreover, it shortens the deployment time for us. Otherwise, you just take an ISO, build the entire sequence of images, build cloud in it, and so on. I'll talk about cloud in it a little bit later once Esper has time, because I think we're running out of time as well. So let's hurry up a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesper, can you please share your experience on this?
Yeah, I mean, we use the marketplace as well for some of the services as well, and we're also developing and launching a service based on the 1KE appliance, which we have some customer cases for, and then for the Windows templates, we also made our own there, and then we created an integration with some S3 storage to share templates between OpenNebula installations, since we run multiple OpenNebula clouds.
Okay, that's great. So thank you so much I think we have run out of all questions, and we are running out of time too. Thank you so much, all of you, for sharing your experience. I have some time with us today. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.